Okay, here the multi-level queue scheduling, it's an another type of CPU scheduling algorithm. Okay, these type of scheduling algorithms will be used in a situations in which the processes are easily classified into different groups. Okay, where the processes are easily classified into different groups, and that situations will be using this multi-level queue scheduling. Okay, here the different groups means the processes will be partitioned into different separate queues here. Okay, here the ready queue is partitioned into separate queues. One queue will be saved with all foreground processors, another queue all the background processors will be present in the other queues. Okay, here a common division is made between the foreground process and background process here. In ready queue is partitioned into separate two queues. Like one queue will be consist of foreground processes, other queue will be consist of background process. Okay, and here these two types of process have the different response time requirements and may have the different scheduling needs. Okay, that's the reason we are partitioning the process into two different queues here. Okay, and foreground process have the priority over the background processes. Foreground process will be having more priority than the background processes. Okay, so the while scheduling also CPU, the CPU will be first allocated for the foreground process queue. Okay, after executing all the process in the foreground process, then CPU will be allotted for the background process queue. Okay, here the ready queue will be partitioned into two separate queues. One is foreground process queue, other one is background process queue. Okay, and the processes are permanently assigned to one queue based on the some property of the process, like memory size or process priority or process type. Depends on the process characteristics, we do divide the process into different queues. Okay, whether the process will be added to the foreground queue or background queue. Okay, that will be depends on the properties of the process. Okay, and here the processes are permanently assigned to any one of the queue. Okay, whether the foreground queue or the background queue. Okay, and each queue has its own scheduling algorithm. Here here each queue has its own scheduling algorithm. Like a separate queue might be used for foreground and background process, right? Here foreground process will be stored in the foreground queue, background processes will be stored in the background queue. Okay, we'll be using a ready queue will be partitioned into two queues. One queue with the foreground process, other queue with the background process. Okay, and the foreground queue might be scheduled by using a round robin algorithm. Okay, for foreground process queue, we may be using round robin scheduling algorithm. Okay, while that the background queue is scheduled by using first come first serve scheduling algorithm. Okay, here how we have partitioned the processes here depends on the properties of the processes. Okay, so here we are just assuming that foreground processes are using processor scheduled by using the round robin fashion, and background process queues are scheduled by using first come first serve manner. Okay, we'll see this with the diagram. Okay, here this is we have the multiple queues. In this example, you can see multi-level queue scheduling algorithm has some 5 queues here. Okay, that is system process. Okay, system processes one queue, and interactive processes will be in another queue, and interactive editing process will be another queue, batch process will be in another queue, and student process will be in the other queue. Okay, if you go from the down to up, the priority will be high. Okay, the system process will be having the higher priority, then interactive processes, then interactive editing processes, then batch processes, and then student processes will be allocated the CPU here. Okay, we have the different set of processes here, and each process will be depends on its properties. Processes are placed in the different queues. Okay, system processes are in this queue, interactive processes are in this queue, interactive editing processes are in this queue, batch processes are in this queue, and student processes are in this queue. Okay, here there must be a scheduling among these queues, which is commonly implemented as fixed priority preemptive scheduling. Okay, here the common scheduling will be implemented, that is fixed priority preemptive scheduling. Okay, we say like example, if you take foreground queue maybe have the absolute priority over the background queues. Foreground queues will have absolute priority than the background queues. Okay, here each queue is having a absolute priority over the lower priority queue. Okay, than this processes are having higher priority, than this processes are having higher priority, than this processes are having higher priority, than this processes are having higher priority. And no process in the batch queue could run unless the queue of system process, interactive processes, interactive editing processes were completely empty. Okay, after executing all the process from the system process, all the process from the interactive process, all the process from interactive editing process is executed completely, then only the batch process will get CPU will be allocated for the batch processes. Okay, this is multi-level queue scheduling. Understood this? Okay, the scheduling must be done between the queues here with the fixed priority scheduling. Okay, like completely one the higher priority process will get executed. After that only lower priority scheduling priority queues will get CPU will be scheduled for the processes. Okay, and here the problem with this uh, multi-level queue scheduling is there will be a possibility of starvation. That means until completion of all the foreground processes, the background process should wait in the queue. Okay, after complete execution of foreground processes only background process will get CPU will be allotted for that. So there is a problem of starvation will occur with the multi-level queue scheduling. Okay, and here the time slice, each queue will get some certain amount of CPU time which it can schedule amongst all the processes. Okay, so that is 80% to foreground in round robin fashion will be executed, 20% to background in first come first serve fashion it will get executed in multi-level queue scheduling. Okay, understood the difficulty in multi-level queue scheduling, right? If, in multi-level queue scheduling what we do, when the multi-level queue scheduling algorithm is used, processes are permanently assigned to a queue when they are entered in the system, right? The process will be depends on the process property, we'll assign the process for a queue permanently. Okay, when the process is entered into the system in multi-level queue scheduling algorithm. Here in this is multi-level feedback queue scheduling algorithm. Here the multi-level feedback queue scheduling algorithm allows the process to move between the queues. Okay, here the process can be moved between various queues in multi-level feedback queues. Okay, here the idea is to separate processes according to the characteristics of CPU burst. According to the characteristics of CPU burst, the process will be separated here. Processes will be separated here in multi-level feedback queues. Okay, if a process uses too much of CPU time, okay, it will be moved to the lower priority queues. Okay, if the process is having longer CPU burst time, then such process will be moved to the lower priority queues. Okay, This scheme leaves the IO bound and interactive processes in the higher priority queues. Remaining process will be moved to lower priority queues here in multi-level feedback queues. Okay, a process that waits too long in a lower priority queue may be moved to a higher priority queue. Okay, after waiting for long time in the lower priority queue, the process may be moved to the higher priority queue. Okay, this is what technique, by using what technique we move from the lower priority queue to higher priority queue, that is aging technique. By using like aging technique, after waiting for some particular amount of time, the process priority will be increased. Okay, so that the process will get CPU, else the process need to be wait for too long time, or sometimes the process may not get executed at all. Okay, that excuse me, here the starvation problem of multi-level queuing system will be solved here by using aging technique. Okay, aging technique will prevent the starvation. Like the process that waits too long in a lower priority queues may be moved to higher priority queue by, after waiting for some amount of time, that processes priority will be increased for every millisecond in multi-level feedback queues. Okay, we'll see with the diagram. Here we have an example. Consider a multi-level feedback queue scheduler with three queues. Okay, we are taking three queues with multi-level feedback queue scheduler. Okay, and those queues are numbered from 0 to 2. That is Q0, Q1, Q2. Q0 is scheduled with round robin scheduling with the time quantum of 8 milliseconds, where Q1 is scheduled with round robin scheduling algorithm with the time quantum of 16 milliseconds. Next, Q2 is scheduled with first come first serve scheduling. Okay, here we have taken three queues in the multi-level feedback queue scheduling algorithm. Q0 will be scheduled by using round robin scheduling algorithm with the time quantum of 8 milliseconds. Q1 is scheduled with round robin scheduling algorithm with a quantum of 16 milliseconds, and Q2 is scheduled with first come first serve scheduling. Okay, here in this scheduling, a new job enters Q0, which is served by using first come first serve scheduling algorithm. Okay, if any new job enters to the Q0, which is served with first come first serve scheduling, when it gains CPU, the job serves for the job receives 8 milliseconds. When that job receives the CPU, then job will receive 8 milliseconds. Okay, CPU time. Okay, when job is allocated for the CPU, that job receives 8 milliseconds. Okay, if it does not finish in 8 milliseconds, the job is moved to Q1. Okay, Q1 what it will do? Again the Q1 also will work with round robin fashion only with the quantum of 16 milliseconds. Okay, at Q1 the job is again served with first come first serve scheduling only, and it receives 16 additional milliseconds once the CPU is alerted to the uh, job which is entered the Q1. For that, CPU will be, that job will receive 16 milliseconds of CPU time. CPU will execute 16 milliseconds that task. Okay, if it does not finish in that 16 milliseconds, okay, and that job will be again preempted or and moved to the Q2. Okay, what the Q2 will do? In Q2 it will follow first come first serve scheduling. Okay, once the CPU, the job gets the CPU, until completion of that completion of that execution of that job, CPU will be holded by that job. Okay, because FCFS is non-preemptive scheduling. Okay, so until completion of the job, CPU will be holded by that job here. Okay, in Q2. Let's see with the diagram. Okay, you can see here, this is the multi-level feedback queue. First, once the job is entered to the uh, Q0, it will allocate the jobs using first come first serve manner to the CPU. Once CPU is allocated, it will be executed by using round robin fashion with time quantum of 8 milliseconds. The job will get executed in the CPU for 8 milliseconds. Then by the time its job is completed, that process job will get exited from the CPU. Okay, if the job is not completed, the burst time execution is not completed, then that job will be again allocated to another queue, that is Q1. Okay, where the Q1 also will be works like a first come first serve scheduling with round robin algorithm manner. Once the CPU is allocated to the process, okay, with the quantum of 16 milliseconds. Within that additional 16 milliseconds, the job's burst time is executed, then that process will leaves the CPU. Else that process again will be preempted from the CPU. It will be process will be added to the next queue, that is Q2. Q2 follows completely first come first serve scheduling. Here once the CPU is allocated for that process, so process will be executed by the CPU and then process will be preempted. Process will be after execution, process will be exited from the CPU. Okay, this is multi-level feedback queues, queue scheduling. Okay, these are the different ways also we can schedule it. Next one is multiple processors scheduling. Okay, CPU scheduling is more complex when multiple CPUs are available. We have till now we have discussed our, if we have the single CPU and multiple process we have. Okay, that's how to schedule if you have the single CPU and multiple processors we have discussed. Okay, if you have multiple processors, okay, how to schedule it we'll see here. CPU scheduling is more difficult if you have multiple CPUs. If multiple processors are available to execute the processes, the time CPU scheduling is difficult. Okay, and here we'll discuss the approaches to the multiple processor scheduling. Here, once the approach one approach to this CPU scheduling in multi-processor system is where all the scheduling decisions, IO processing and other system activities are held by the single processor here. Okay, all the scheduling decisions, IO processing and other system activities will be held by a single processor in multi-processor system. Okay, that is the that processor we call it as a master server. Okay, one server which will be holds the all the scheduling decisions, IO processing and other system activities. Okay, and other processors here execute only the user code. Okay, in multi-processor systems, one processor will be acts as a master. Okay, which will holds the all the scheduling decisions, IO processing and other system activities, and remaining other processors will be executes only the user code. Okay, and this asymmetric multiprocessing is simple because only one processor access the system data structure, that will reduce the need for the data sharing. Okay, in this asymmetric multi-sharing, only one process will access the system data structure, that will automatically reduce the need for the data sharing. Okay, only one processor will be take care all the system related processing. Other process will just executes the user code. Okay, this is one approach. Okay, In second approach, that is called symmetric multiprocessing. This is also called as SMP. SMP means symmetric multiprocessing, where each process is self-scheduling. Okay, here every process is self-scheduling in symmetric multiprocessing. All the process may be in a common ready queue. Okay, or each process may have its own private queue for ready the processes. Okay, here in this symmetric multiprocessing, each processor is a self-scheduling. Each processor is a self-scheduling. All the process may be in a common ready queue, or each processor may have its own private ready queue will be there. In that, processes will be placed in this symmetric multiprocessing system. Okay, that is also called as SMP. And here some of the issues with related to the symmetric multiprocessing is processor affinity. That means the process has affinity for the processor on which it is currently running. A processor will has the affinity for the process on which it is running. Okay, here we have two types of affinities, that is soft affinity and hard affinity. Here the process affinity takes several forms here. One is soft affinity, other one is hard affinity. When the operating system has a policy of attempting to keep the process running on the same processor but not guaranteeing that it will do so, a situation it is known as soft affinity. We say when operating system has a policy of attempting to keep the process running on the same processor, that is called soft affinity. Okay, uh, whereas we have another form of this affinity is some systems such as like Linux provide system calls that supports the hard affinity. That means that allows the process to specify that it must not migrate to other process. So that is called hard affinity. Okay, process affinity means the process has affinity for the process on which it is currently running. We have two forms of affinities. One is soft affinity, other one is hard affinity. Okay, next issue with the symmetric multiprocessing is load balancing. Here load balancing is attempts to keep the workload evenly distributed across all the processors in symmetric multiprocessing system. Okay, load balancing will keeps the workload evenly distributed across all the processes. Okay, here we have the two general approaches for this load balancing is push migration and pull migration. Here with this push migration means a specific task periodically checks that load on the each processor, and if it finds that imbalance in that, evenly distributes the load by moving the processes from overloaded process to idle processes. That is called push margin. Okay, there will be some periodical checks will be done on the loads of each processor. If it identifies that there is an imbalance in load distribution of the processors, that this push margin will move the load from the overloaded processor to idle processes. Okay, next is pull margin. Pull margin occurs when the idle processors pulls a waiting task from the busy processor. Okay, if there are some processor will be idle, some process will be waiting for the busy processors. That time that idle processes will pull that process from the busy processors. So that is called pull margin. Understood, right? Push margin and pull margin. This is to attempt to keep the workload evenly distributed across all the processors in symmetric multiprocessing. Okay, we have another issue with this symmetric multiprocessing is symmetric multi-threading, that is called SMT. It is to create multiple logical processors on a same physical processor. Okay, and single physical processor will be creating multiple logical processors. Okay, multiple logical processes will execute different processes. Okay, that will presenting a view of several logical processors to the operating system. It looks like we have many logical processors, okay, but we will be having a single physical processor. Okay, even on a system with only one single processor, it looks like it will present it like there are several processors to the operating system. That is symmetric multi-threading. Okay, symmetric multi-threading is to create multiple logical processors on a same physical processor. This is about multi-processor scheduling. Next concept here is thread scheduling. It is distinction between the user level and kernel level threads lies in how they are scheduled. Okay, how distinction between the user level and kernel level threads lies in how they are scheduled, will be scheduled by using thread scheduling. And many to one and many to many models, thread libraries schedules the user level threads to run on a LWP, right? In many to one or many to many models, thread libraries will schedule the user level threads to run on a LWP. That known as process contention scope. Okay, that is called as process contention scope, PCS. Okay, since it is scheduling the competition is within the processes. Okay, scheduling competition is within the processes, so it is called process contention scope. Okay, PCS, process contention scope. Here the kernel thread scheduled on to available CPU system contention scope. Okay, that is called competition will be among all the threads in the system. Competition in will be all the threads in the system is system contention scope, SCS. Okay, if the scheduling competition is within the process, it is called process contention scope. And if there is a competition among all the threads in the system, it is a system contention scope, SCS. Okay, this is the thread scheduling. API allows specifying either it is the PCS or SCS during the thread creation. Okay, pthread scope process schedules the threads by using PCS scheduling. Okay, pthread scope system schedules the threads by using SCS scheduling. Okay, pthread scope process will schedules the threads by using PCS scheduling. pthread scope system schedules the threads by using SCS scheduling. Okay, this is pthread scheduling API. With this, we have done with the scheduling algorithms.